Okay, so it looks like we are ready. It already took a couple of minutes to go start the streaming after I clicked on ready, but well, that doesn't matter. We are just, besides today's, we have one more entry for the essentials, and that would be it for this short round of entries. Share with you very, very, very essential information for you to be able to understand very basically what is on the scores, provided that Katia and I very, very often refer to the scores, and so you are aware of what we are talking about. So enough for that. Today we are not using our beautiful Excel file that we've been preparing. That was for the three dimensions that we shared, the dimension of the frequency or the value of the note in terms of frequency, the octave, and in the scale, what does it turn out to be, a C, D, an E, an F, etc., etc. The second dimension that we mentioned that we came after that one was the length or the duration of the note in terms of BPMs and the tempi. And the third dimension, the volume, which we reviewed last week. Today, we're talking about a number of little guys who are not um, who are not exclusively part of any of those three dimensions, but that enrich the understanding or what the composer wrote in the score. And for that, we are going to be having two examples today. The first example today is going to be with the very, 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 very beautiful piece of music written by Antonin Dvorak. Of course, we are referring to the Pieśń Yushel Miesiczku, the song, it is also known as the Song to the Moon from the opera Rusalka, one of the most beautiful operas ever written. That's going to be our first example. And for that, we are going to be using, and let me put it on the screen very quickly, we are going to be using a rehearsal version by soprano Violeta Dávalos. She was in this rehearsal, of course, prior to the actual presentation of this concert. So you will notice that everybody is informally dressing, but this rendition of a rehearsal turns out to be very, very, very good. And this is the one that we are going to be using to provide the example. So let's move on with it. The volume is right, so let's go back to the PDF file. There we are. Sorry for the many interruptions, but they are going to be needed. Now we already know how to read this one, the larghetto. This is going to be one of the exemptions that I shared with you today. It is usually expressed directly into a quarter value. However, it is expressed in an eighth, and you will see that there is a range of 112 to 116 BPMs. But also it says that an eighth must be considered as a quarter. What a way to complicate our lives. We have also noticed that we are expecting three notes of an eighth value. Go here. First notation, I think you noticed, of course, you know how to read this one in piano. So it starts this miesiczku. This symbol that we have here, it's called crescendo. Okay, this symbol, as we use, if you read basic mathematics, do you know what this symbol more than or less than? This symbol we use here to provide a crescendo, which means you come from a piano. For the duration of these three notes, Maestro Dvorak requested the singer to increase the volume from piano slowly a little only for the word Nanievi. So, miesiczku Nanievi luboke. Well, we are going to continue with this. This area doesn't have too many indications. That's why I chose it. It doesn't have so many indications, but it has the ones that are of interest. So this was a crescendo. For a second time, post viete, we have a crescendo, but notice that we are, and we have found when the composer wants a certain syllable or a certain sound to be accentuated, a special emphasis is used this small triangle over the value of the note. These long ones are crescendos in that direction. When they open, they are crescendos. And notice that again, it requests a slowly flowing crescendo, increasing crescendo, but is also requesting the first syllable to be particularly accentuated. So the singer must think of after the it has to play with two things, with increasing slowly the volume as it is a crescendo and emphasizing blow, blow, poświecie blow, szerokiem. So accent and this one crescendo. I think I can share you now, even though it is not in the line of the voice, but it is in the line of the piano. Many times, Katia and I talk to you about these ligaturas, which when in particularly as we are talking about the voice, when we refer to the voice, we need to understand that the composer is expecting, however, this is where Katya and I share with you very often that, but the composers should give room for breathing because many times they write it as they want it sung in a single breath, but sometimes just the singers need to breathe. So take this with caution as for the breathing, but what it is true is that the composer is expecting the voice to flow through all this number of notes in a very good legato, in a very good quality of homogeneity of the voice. I would lean towards or call your attention to that the composer is expecting the sound or the quality of the emission to be very homogeneous for the number of notes involved. That's what the legato, these long lines that put symbols together, that's how we understand the legatos or the ligaturas. Remember also that there are many words in Italian. I would, for that purpose, refer you to our episode, one of our early episodes. In fact, it is in two separate episodes. The singer's arsenal is in Italian because we explained several of them also. So let's keep on with the exercise because I don't want today's video to be super long. Again, we're having a long crescendo. Sorry, it is here. Let's make a pause there. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Let me go back and pause it there because we have another symbol that it is of our interest. Well, you know this double P, which means pianissimo, double P, but this one here that I forgot a number of episodes earlier with Katia, this symbol here that I shadowed, it's called a fermata, but in Spanish we call it a calderone. And a calderone means that you can keep, or the singer can keep the note for longer than written. This is one of the reasons, again, going back to our second dimension of the duration of the notes, that uh, end up affecting the total duration of the piece that we are talking about. Because if the singer is if he or she, it's a rather a she, can keep this syllable for as long as she thinks it makes sense and it has the permission of the composer, then the true value of this one is not a quarter or an eighth or a 16th or whatever the value is written. It's going to be much longer because it's very discretional on the duration of the sound. But this calderone or fermata is used also for the silences. So it holds true that you can keep a silence for as long as you think it is allowed, or keep the sound for as long as you think as you are allowed. And we have another symbol that I wanted to share with you. So far we have seen the crescendos, the ligaturas, the fermata, and we are going to talk about the one that sounds very funny, that I like it because it is like a bite, like you bite something, take a piece of it, and it is called the achacatura. The achacatura are these small notes just before the true value of what we are going to do, and which means like you are biting a piece of the value of the following note just to sing for a small amount of time the value of the one that comes earlier. So if this was a do and this was a re, you are going to sing for a very short amount of time the re for a very short amount of time before you go to the do. And this is a very frequent use. Moreover, when the singer wants to the composer wants the singer to project hesitation, doubt, pain. When you are not fully in something, you're hesitating, fighting over to find something. They usually make use of this achacatura, which for me the easiest way to understand is you're biting, you're taking a piece of the note that comes later just to give a small amount of value to this one, the one that is preceding. That's what the achacatura is. Let me send it back a little earlier. Well, instead of sending it back enough, I truly didn't. So and it's going to make a pause there because now we have the other one. You just heard another achacatura, the achacatura that was here. And then we have this is also very often happen. Remember that this is a crescendo, increasing the volume slowly, and the opposite it's a diminuendo. So the singer is expected to sing increasing, reaching the top in the middle of and decreasing the volume after to reach the final note. And the combination of these two, first a crescendo immediately followed by a diminuendo, it's very happens very often in the opera. You will find this combination of a crescendo immediately followed by a diminuendo very often, and also Madame Montserrat Caballé liked to do it a lot. Of course, you need a very good diaphragmatic control in order to do things like this. This is what we just heard. So We have already seen the crescendo. We have seen the ligaturas. We have seen the diminuendo, the combination of the both, and the biting, the achacaturas. So far, so good. We have almost covered everything that was in our interest. Here you have a number of crescendos, ligaturas, notations on the volume. Find that it is piano. Starts in piano again, the second part. Avesiales poi. Short crescendo, very short diminuendo, a long, very delicate crescendo continues. Of course, you notice that she kept for longer than written, even though there is no fermata there. So, na, again, there is a continuous use of achacaturas, as you may have already noticed. So, using a crescendo for that number of notes, and then we have a piano and a diminuendo until the two. And then again, there was a night shika, and we are reaching the final part, of course, which is more, so even though there is no indication of that on the score, it's more like a recitativo or quasi parlato, all at the same height. Miesiczku. Accent. Nie Nie accent. And so this is how it reads very, very quickly with the essential elements that I have shared with you. And now let's go for our second example. And this one, I know it's one of everybody's favorites, "E la solita storia del pastore," which, by the way, is one of the podcast episodes, one of the most with the most number of downloads. So it's a great favorite. This dissection episode by Maestro Chilea. We are going to do the same. So if you can see an indication of C8, so we are expecting 6 notes of the value of eighth. Lentamente, which is you know, a very discretionary way to put it. And most of it is written in piano. Before we start reviewing it, I also wanted to call your attention because I mentioned it a lot in the dissection episode that the actual piece is written as a very, very delicate one. Even though unfortunately, we are used to listening to many tenors singing not out loud all the time. È la solita storia del pastore, e il povero ragazzo voleva raccontarla. That is not the way it is written, and you are going to see that on the opposite side, it's very, very contained, very, very discreet, as I explained in the episode. There are piano, the P, the do and double Ps for most of the part of the actual aria. You will not find a triple P, or if I remember well, not even a double, sorry, a triple F or even a double F, which means that the tenor is not expected to sing it out loud, which is usually what we find. So you will read along with me, as I explained in that episode de la solita storia del pastore, also known as Il racconto di Federico, from the opera L'Arlesiana by Maestro Francesco Cilea, which, by the way, I would like to invite you again to watch, to look. There are not many recordings of L'Arlesiana. It's very infrequent, but it's certainly well worth. It's a very beautiful opera. So let's go for our recording and our reading of La solita storia del pastore. This time is in the voice of the very great tenor Rodolfo Acosta. In piano, basically spoken.
La solita storia del pastore.
That simple. È la solita storia del pastore. Any tenor that exaggerates in volume or exaggerates in the duration. È la solita storia del pastore is simply not reading the score, not caring about the score, or a very, very lousy artist. Here ahead we have what I mentioned earlier also. We can have a calderone, the duration of a sound for longer, but we can also do that for the silences. And we have a silence that is written to last as long as the singer feels like it. Of course, in agreement with the pianist, right? He's not just going to go ahead without letting the pianist know what he's going to do, provided he's a professional singer.
Il povero ragazzo voleva raccontarlo.
E s'addormentò. We have another acciaccatura, the example that I was telling you in the other piece, biting a little of the value. Adormi, mi. This mi, do, me, le is what a tessitura usually sounds like. Of course, the wider the voice, it is more difficult for you to identify, provided that the width of the sound is so high. Sounds weird. The frequencies that are covered by a much darker, wider voice overlaps with almost with the half of the value of the following note. So instead of having this distance in frequency, it appears to be closer, so barely noticeable, but because of the wide range of frequencies emitted by a wider voice. So it sounds very well in lyrical tenors, in light tenors, but for spintos and dramatic tenors, it is not that well perceived for the reason I just explained. So, esa dormí after the achacatura. Notice insisting piano.
nel sonno l'oblio, come
To go over the video, it cut for a short amount of time. Notice double P, double P.
anch'io vorrei dormir così. Nel sono al men l'oblio trova, la pace suoi, cercando agli
Mezzo forte, but go back to double P. Exceed a little the volume, but still he's not singing all out loud. Again, go back to piano. Ah, that's very common that tenors commit an error in the lyrics of the word. Mi fai tanto male. Notice the ligatura, keeping the duration of the sound of sembiante, but also indication that you keep the same color, even if you decrease.
La pace suoi e solo a me me ne chiede
Forte, only forte.
io tanto
And then there is a diminuendo.
ogni sforzo è
A
vano
diminuendo, vano, ogni forte. It's going to be a crescendo. In mi fai tanto male.
mi fai tanto male
There you go. No double Fs, no need to exaggerate. Tenor Rodolfo Acosta increased the volume only a couple of times, but for the most part, he adhered to what is written. If you notice, in order to make it more interesting, um, Maestro Chilea gave many diminuendos or crescendos. Again, if you just listen to a tenor singing Fatale visione mi lascia, mi fai tanto male, ahimè," all in the same volume means that again, either he's not reading the score, he doesn't care about the score, or he's just a lousy artist because of all these changes in the dynamics are here. Go to piano, go back to pianissimo, forte only for this note, emphasize these three syllables, then add a diminuendo. All that make this piece a very, very, very interesting music to listen to, which of course only true artists do a fair job with it. So this is today's entry. Next week we are having our final entry. We are going to have a very very interesting conversation about the voice spectrum and harmonics and the many 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 misunderstandings around it, as well as the use of technology that ends up messing up with this voice print. So, with that being said, thank you for anyone who might be listening and watching to